It's Friday, September 26, 2025, and this is the Washington Times front page. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. President Trump has approved a proposal to keep TikTok running in the United States by moving the social media app's operations into a joint venture owned by American companies and investors. Mallory Wilson reports the app's American operations will be run by a joint venture among American investors, owners, and boards of directors, such as tech giant Oracle and investment firm Silver Lake Partners. The White House said Oracle is expected to oversee the app's security, including the algorithm. The American consortium will have a majority stake of about 80%, with Chinese-owned ByteDance holding no more than a 20% stake. A federal grand jury has indicted former FBI Director James Comey on charges of lying to Congress and obstruction of justice related to the Russia collusion probe that was launched under his leadership. Kerry Pickett and Susan Ferricchio report court documents say Comey willfully and knowingly falsely stated during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports. The second count accuses Comey of corruptly endeavoring to influence, obstruct, and impede the committee's work by making false and misleading statements before that committee. On social media, Comey said he has great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent, so let's have a trial. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the Food and Drug Administration is conducting a safety review of the abortion drug mifepristone. Susan Ferricchio reports Kennedy and FDA Commissioner Marty Makary wrote to 22 Republican attorneys general informing them of the review, which they said will examine real-world outcomes and evidence relating to the safety and efficacy of the drug. Kennedy is under pressure from Republican governors and lawmakers to increase restrictions on the drug and even pull it off the market. Removing the drug, which is generally considered safe, would undermine President Trump's campaign pledge to leave abortion access decisions up to the states. Critics of the review say the Trump administration is hunting for a reason to restrict mifepristone, not out of safety concerns, but to placate pro-life groups. The Pentagon sweeping new rules for journalists, including the demand that reporters sign a pledge not to release any unauthorized information or risk losing access, would deeply erode news coverage of the nation's military. Ben Wolfgang reports the policy is the latest in a series of moves by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. For Hegseth, a military veteran who came to the Pentagon from being a TV host, that means eliminating social policies and disavowing political correctness that critics say has eroded the effectiveness of the military. Analysts and media law scholars say the effort to control the press is a clear violation of the First Amendment and may not survive in court. President Trump's critique of the United Nations this week drew pushback from the international community, but many analysts and other world leaders share his criticisms. With the UN Security Council seemingly paralyzed by gridlock, and with UN agencies weighed down by bureaucracy and increasingly dogged by corruption allegations, Von Caucane and Ben Wolfgang write that Trump's core question of the United Nations' relevancy is as pertinent as ever. Some analysts say the veto powers afforded to all 5 permanent members of the Security Council, the U.S., Great Britain, France, Russia, and China, are at the center of UN ineffectiveness. And finally, European leaders are hearing increasing complaints from angry voters about border policies. Joseph Hammond reports leaders in Great Britain, Denmark, and Hungary are clamping down on waves of migrants seeking asylum and opportunity in Europe. Populist right-wing parties with hawkish views on immigration have grown rapidly in recent years. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy won voters' confidence after pledging to crack down on migrant boat crossings. And under Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Hungary's construction of a fence along its southern border is a signature policy. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.